We're about to start our last presentation of the day. CLASP. That's the Legal Aid Clinic up at Osgoode Hall, York University. And we've got Ben, Avery, and Charmin here who are going to tell you a bit about the police complaints process and then take some of your questions. Okay. Oh, yeah. And they need a microphone.
Okay, can everybody hear us? Yeah? Speak out? Okay, so we're from the Community and Legal Aid Services Program, and that's what it is. We're run through Osgoode Hall Law School. It's basically a collection of law students, and we're supervised by 3 staff lawyers who have reviewed pretty much everything that we're going to be telling you today. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to talk about when you can make a police complaint, who's responsible for the police complaint once you make it, the types of complaints that you can file, how to file the complaint itself, and what the possible resolutions are. So there's a number of different instances when you can file a police complaint. First, going to move this. Okay, if you were concerned or offended by something that the police said or did to you specifically, you have the right to file a complaint. If you witnessed something that the police did or said to somebody else, or the police did or said, then you can file a complaint. If you heard about something that happened to a friend or a relative of yours, even if you didn't witness it yourself, you're allowed to file a complaint. You can also act on the behalf of somebody. For example, if you're a part of an organization, you're representing a group of people, then you can file a complaint as well. You have 6 months, as was mentioned earlier, to file the complaint, and you can also do it if you believe that the police haven't performed their services properly, and you can also do it if you have a complaint about a policy of the police department. So those are the different types of complaints that you can file. Once you file a complaint, it goes to the Office of the Independent Police Review Director, so the OIPRD, and that was established in 2007. It's got its own legislation. It's staffed by civilians, and it's a part of the Ontario Ministry of Attorney General. You can make a complaint against any police officer that's employed in Ontario, whether they're a part of the Toronto Police Services or the OPP or any other police services. As long as they're employed in Ontario, you can file a complaint against them. And that includes the police chief and any sworn police officers. So there's a number of people that you cannot file a complaint against. And that includes any civilian members of the police force, special constables, or police cadets. So you cannot file a complaint against them. And there are a number of different ways to make a complaint. You can do it in person at the OIPRD office, and that's at 655 Bay Street on the 10th floor. You can also do it at any police station in Ontario, and you can do it online at oiprd.on.ca. You can also do it by fax, and the number is 1-877-415-4773. You can also mail it in to the address I mentioned earlier, 655 Bay Street, and we can give you the full mailing address with the postal code. Just come up and see one of us. And the way that you file a complaint is you download the form from the website. You can also pick it up in person at any police station, and I think we've got a few copies at the back tables there, and you just send it in. So I'm going to hand it over to Ben now.
So once you've decided that you want to file a police complaint, there is certain required information that you're going to want to make sure you include in your complaint. You're going to need to include your contact information and whether or not the complaint is about something that happened to you or if you're filing it on behalf of another victim. You're also going to want to include details, as much as you know, about the police officer and the police service that's involved. So this means the officer's name, if you have it, their rank, their badge number, a description of their age, their height, and as well as if you know what police station they're from. As much detail as possible is always better. So when it comes to the actual incident that happened to you also, you want to identify where it happened. You also want to identify when it happened. And there may be instances where there's several dates, so make sure you're including all of those dates where the incidents occurred. You also want to describe what happened in the incident, specifically who was involved, what was said or done, anyone who witnessed the incident, including other officers, any damages or injuries that were sustained by yourself or others, if there was something else that affected your interaction with police, and if there's any evidence that you've collected. This can be in the form of medical records, photos, and videos that I think people already identified that there's many of. So if you're filling out a complaint on behalf of someone else, then you have to also try and include their name and contact information if you know it. You will also have to sign a declaration at the bottom of the police complaints form, just identifying that the information that you're providing is true and accurate, and also a translator's declaration if that's also necessary. So once you file your complaint, it's going to go off to the OIPRD, and they're going to be the first group there that reviews all of the complaints that are received. And they're going to determine if it's a policy complaint, a service complaint, or a conduct complaint. Some complaints may be resolved locally, and then they'll be reported back to the OIPRD. There are several results that can happen once you've filed a police complaint. The first of which is that a hearing may be held. A hearing can either be held by the OIPRD or by the local police service. Officers may be charged under either the Police Services Act or the Criminal Code. And the complaint can also be resolved informally. This can only be done if you have the consent of both the police officer and the complainant, which would be yourself. Sanctions that officers receive as a result of that process can be expunged from their record after 2 years unless there's another incident of misconduct. The final thing that could happen is your complaint could be determined by the OIPRD to be unsubstantiated. This means they either determine that it was not serious enough or there was not enough evidence. To give you an idea of the length of the process, it could take months, if not longer, and it's very resource and situational dependent. So finally, I want to walk you through, before I hand it off to Avery, really the two avenues that could occur with your complaint. Either your complaint could be handled by the OIPRD once it goes into them, and they would retain your complaint for investigation. They would then investigate the complaint and record the results of the investigation to yourself. A decision made by the OIPRD following this process cannot be appealed. The other avenue that it could follow is your complaint is submitted to the OIPRD, and then they refer the complaint to the local police division or another division for investigation. When it's referred to the division, it'll be handled by the Professional Standards Bureau of the division, and that's where the investigation will be conducted. And the results of the investigation are reported back to both the complainant and the OIPRD. And the complainant has 30 days to request the OIPRD to review the decision that was made there. So now I'll pass it off to Avery.
So as well, the OIPRD does have some discretion in terms of deciding whether to handle a complaint at all. So one of the things that they will do is they will consider the public interest in deciding whether or not to deal with a complaint, and some of the things that, some of the factors that they have listed on their website as things they will consider is if the complaint will have an effect on public confidence in the police, if there are, depending on the number of complainants involved, if there's another legal avenue, or what the seriousness of the complaint is and what kind of harm is alleged to have been done. So what we have found and what the OIPRD themselves are saying is that the majority of police complaints will be referred to the local police department rather than investigated by the OIPRD themselves. We just want to emphasize that there is a specific professional standards bureau that handles and investigates the complaints. So it's not going to be the officer that was involved in your complaint or somebody directly related like that. There's an expected distance from the complaint itself. As well, in terms of referring the complaint to the local department or keeping it themselves, the OIPRD might consider the capacity of the police service to investigate it, the geographic location of the complaint. If there are ongoing parallel investigations, they might choose to combine them, or whether the complaint concerns a high-ranking officer. So the more serious they deem the complaint, the more likely it is that they will retain the complaint themselves. But like I just said, the majority of them will go back to the local to the local department for investigation. In terms of appealing or reviewing your complaint, once you have, the complainant will always get report of a decision, no matter who conducts the investigation. And you as a complainant can request a review within 30 days of that decision if it's made by a local police division or by the Ontario Provincial Police. If the result is that it's unsubstantiated or not serious enough. If the result is the disciplinary hearing, then you can't appeal that to the OIPRD. It now goes to the Ontario Civilian Police Commission. But again, they will send you in a letter with their decision. They're required to tell you which service you can appeal to and give you the timeline as well for appealing that. If you can request a review with the OIPRD, they will, they say they try to complete the review in 30 days. It doesn't happen. But that's what they say. We've found that there seems to be a resource issue, and so, but you still have the right to request the review. The other thing is that any decisions, as Ben said, regarding made by the OIPRD themselves, you cannot appeal them in the same way that you can request a review of a police division's investigation. But there is something called a judicial review process. It's pretty complicated, and for that we seriously recommend that you see a lawyer, because there is legal process involved with that that's a bit more complicated. So once you review, the director can confirm the decision that was originally made, or assign a police service to reinvestigate or take over the investigation themselves. And the director will require both the police service involved and you as the complainant of what that decision is. So just to finish up here really quickly, CLASP is, we do handle police complaints. Unfortunately, we are limited by who we can help by financial criteria, since we're funded by Legal Aid Ontario. So if you are a York student, we are able to waive that financial criteria because we're also funded by York University. But otherwise, if you fit the Legal Aid Ontario criteria, we'd be more than happy to take an application from you, or if you're a York student. We also handle human rights claims as well, so if that's another avenue you're thinking of, you can contact us as well. And we're located at Osgoode Hall Law School at York University, which is at 4700 Keele Street. Our phone number is 416-736-5029. And as well, there, as previously mentioned, there are forms from the OIPRD at the back if you would like to take a look at it or take one for yourself. And the Canadian Civil Liberties Association has also told us that they will be helping people with police complaints as well.